Hi everyone, this is Jim Egan, head of school, Synapse School with a Friday update. It's been a quieter week in some ways around Synapse. The sprint team has been taking a bit of a break, which is a really good thing for everybody. So it's slowed down. There's been a slowdown with the meeting schedule, but certainly things are not slow. And there's a lot to report around facilities and the protocols and testing. And also the state of affairs in San Mateo County. Interestingly, today I joined a CDC press call. You can do that from a public standpoint as well. I have to say it was fascinating, quite political, and the CDC released new guidelines for the reopening of schools. You may have seen some news about that. They talk about government schools, which is an interesting choice of term for the public schools, to call them government schools. If you like, you can look up the history of the usage of government schools in education, make your own conclusions. But there was not a lot of details within that call. Certainly, it was put out by the White House and Secretary DeVos for obvious reasons. They did say the default is that schools should be fully open in the fall. I take issue with that, and that as long as there aren't hot spots, there's no reason not to open. Now, of course, we're not going to just rest on that advice, the CDC advice. We do agree with some of what the CDC is saying, that teachers are essential workers, that kids are better off in schools than they are not in school. But of course, we have to think about that in terms of the context of safety first. So that call was interesting. Like I said, it didn't lead to any new conclusions for us. They continue to be the same. We are still on course for August 6th opening. Safety continues to be the number one criteria for us as a school. If we sense we can't do what we intend to do, then we just won't open. So keep that in mind as well. If we can't do what we intend to do in terms of safety, we won't open. Adult-to-adult transmission continues to be the biggest challenge for all of us, and that'll be the same at school as well. The adults in the building are the most vulnerable, and the adults in the building are the ones who will likely be the most capable of spreading the transmission. And we know that schools are a microcosm of their communities, and we don't operate in a vacuum. So those continue to be those are the guidelines of how we are continuing to move forward. So as I said, the sprint team is out. They'll be back on Monday. If you have questions regarding hybrid versus 100% remote, Katie, Stephanie, and Isha will be back. Admissions questions for Deanna, she'll be back as well. Some other updates in terms of our opening. Campus construction continues to be ongoing. Bob Baer is doing a tremendous job with his team. We're making great strides, but it's a process as well. Not everything's in place. Bob is working as hard as he can, and we're doing the best we can with what we have right now. So that keeps going forward. The task force continues to be a great resource for me as a head of school and to our community in general. I've met with Amish around financials, Jean-Claude, who's a neighbor I see, I think, every day, and we talk about schools and teaching and the opening of schools and communities. Sarah and Pooja just met with our teachers in a Zoom meeting on Wednesday evening, to answer any questions or concerns around health and medical. My wife Ellen is on our legal team, as well as my neighbor Bill. We've been talking about HR-related issues. And Raja, who's a board member, as well as a task force member, and I are in constant contact. So I can't say enough good things about the task force and what we're doing there. Also going on, we have reached out to San Mateo County to really begin to develop that relationship around the connection between the county and our school, Synapse School, as a private school. So Carmen O'Shea, who's now on staff and communications and leadership working very hard already. She's made connections with the new liaison for reopening with the San Mateo County Health Department. This gentleman is working off the assumption that the county is going to be put on the watch list. Therefore, they're working also to create a waiver for elementary schools to stay open even if we are, as a county, put on the state watch list. So we've made contact with a few people. That liaison is a big contact. And what he has told us, that the biggest hurdle for schools to stay open or reopen is going to be testing. And so that leads me to an update on our testing. I am so proud of our efforts on this front. This started for us weeks, if not months at this point, ago. And we're way ahead of everybody that I know of who's running a school anywhere in the country. We've signed an agreement with Stanford, so we're all set to go with Stanford. Of course, there are many, many things that have to get worked out with a big university. And Liz T from our Brainwave Learning Center, she's working hard on that front. We have daily meetings with Stanford at 5 o'clock. We have a 5 o'clock call. We've been doing this for weeks, and Bob, Liz, and myself are on all those calls, as well as a set of doctors and researchers and project managers from Stanford. I can't say enough good things about what we're doing with that university, that local university, and our timeline and our approach. Some things you can expect from us, some communication, is that you will be informed around the process and the protocol. What it looks like to have the testing, what it will look like to get those results. There will be consents, obviously. There'll be an FAQ that you'll get to see and add to as well. So there'll be some things coming this week as we build out that program with Stanford. So keep your eyes out for that. I also want to point out that other schools are now looking to have testing, which we saw way ahead of time. Like, you can't possibly reopen anything safely without some sort of testing program. And there are a lot of vendors out there that are available for hire. Some independent schools have reached out to me because they'd heard about our relationship with Stanford. I think those vendors are viable, but they're not going to be as safe, I feel, or as sort of legitimate at this point. So there's a lot of vendors popping up that are trying to sell their services to schools. Which makes sense. But we are working very hard to have the most robust, safe, consistent, sort of world-class testing experience through Stanford University. I can't say enough good things. So there'll be some communications coming this week around that. I think that may be it for my update. So Sprint team is back. Testing is moving forward. So much work is going into making sure that it is safe and secure for our staff and for our families. The facilities and construction keeps going. And we are going to continue to look to reopen. If the county goes on the watch list, then we will not. But until then, we are staying the course, understanding that everything is very fluid and that we are adaptable. There's no school that can adapt as quickly as we can. I told this to the Stanford team yesterday. I said, you'll never meet a school that's more flexible than this school. And I really believe that. And on a lighter note, I got a message. I'm looking at my notes here. I got a message from Annie Turner, who's going to be a garden specialist at Synapse, to let us know that the squirrel camera is back up in the garden. We are trying to figure out how the squirrels are getting in and out. So there's a camera up in there to try to capture their movements and see how these critters are possibly getting in and out of our garden. So that was big and fun news. And lastly, we will have a town hall on Monday. They'll start back up 8 o'clock Monday night. Okay, have a great weekend. Be safe, be well, wear a mask. See you soon.